them come. This is their fate.
Gotta do my Birdman rub. All right. Welcome back to the House of Wolves podcast. I am your host, Deontay, with my friends Jalen and Josh. And today we got quite the topics for you guys, all surrounding E3, talking about all the big moments, a lot about Elden Ring, Ratchet and Clank, Guardians of the Galaxy, and potentially talk about some of the things we might want to see at Nintendo event, all the L's everybody's been taking with these events as well. So, without further ado, but usually before we start, I always ask my guys how they're doing. So, how is today going, Jalen and Josh?
For me,
Yeah, for you.
my bad. For me, it's been a good. Yeah, this push to talk it had catching L's. It's been a good summer. I just been trying to relax. I've been going to work, but I'm not taking any classes this summer, so just trying to enjoy my time. And we just moved, so getting used to the new neighborhood, going out a lot. Other than that, pretty good. I mean, it's not technically over, but we can go outside without as many restrictions. So it's been nice. Miss that.
Yeah. All right. Okay, that's good. Nice to hear. Yeah, I've been out there with my mask off as well. A little bit. I ain't been out there crazy, but a little bit. What about you, Jalen?
Y'all cutting up.
Did you get your vaccine yet? Did you get your vaccine?
No, man, I tried to.
Yeah, this man been talking about even trying to for the last 3 months. Crazy.
Look, man, I went there.
Right.
I was like,
this
is when I had that surgery rotation. They got me at 5 a.m. and I ain't leaving until like 6.
Mm-hmm.
I went to go get my vaccine, and I was sitting in the room for like 30 minutes. And I was just like, I had my appointment scheduled, so how come I get my vaccine? It's like, oh, some. And there's like, somebody can be here in like 15 minutes. And then I was supposed to be meeting my classmate. He was like, yeah, bro, I'll be at your crib at XYZ. And I'm just looking like, he gonna be there in 15 minutes. Y'all saying it's gonna take like 15 minutes to get my vaccine. And I need to sit down for 15 minutes after again. I'm just like, dude, I already been sitting here for like 30 minutes plus. So I was like, I'm gonna just have to catch y'all another time, bro. So I just gotta schedule it again. I gotta figure out when I'm gonna do it because I ain't trying to be got ills when when them symptoms hit.
Yeah, I think it's I think ours was pretty straightforward. They was like they do 800 a day. For some reason, everybody in Ohio ain't been tripping about getting it. So it's like we have a pretty high percentage of people who have already taken the vaccine. But, it could be because of that Vax-A-Million. I don't know, man. People trying to win $1 million. But as long as they doing it, I ain't really tripping. But that's been cool to see. At least people are taking it serious, or at least even getting it, whether they take it serious or not. They're getting the vaccine. So that hasn't been bad. They just been running around like clockwork. Honestly, at least at the place I went to an actual hospital when they were scheduling out stuff. But
yeah, I was just trying to get a quick. I just went to CVS and stuff like that, but I was like, I'll probably just try to see if Northwestern can just like give it to me or something like that, so I can just maybe they'd be a little bit faster.
Yeah, get it off your plate quicker, faster, in a hurry.
Yeah, they my preceptor, she go like, yeah, I don't know why some of these patients don't got the vaccine yet. I'll be in that mother like, yeah.
That man don't be wanting to expose himself. That makes sense.
But no, other than that, everything's been straight though. I'm just doing my clinical rotations. I'm enjoying myself and still trying to get things situated. And I enjoyed myself this past weekend, so everything's smooth.
Yeah, I've been pretty much the same. I went to Kalahari with the family this weekend, That was interesting. I wasn't getting in that water. I was like, no, don't even ask me, G. If y'all
How
got
come?
pump, they got to pump anything. Now I feel like they got to pump so much chemicals in to keep it clean and safe. I don't need to be in it in the first place. So the chlorine was hectic. It was smelly. It was just a bad, and the kids loved it, and I was happy. I went there to see my cousins, my nieces, and all that stuff. But I wasn't getting in that water, uh, and I didn't want to, so I didn't. I went to an African safari, like the drive-through safari, and we fed some yaks and some giraffes, and we still had a good time. I just didn't get. I didn't actually go to Kalahari to swim. I was like, just not happening. But it was still fun. They enjoyed themselves. We had a good time, and it was nice seeing everybody for the first time in a very long time. Uh, but yeah, it was cool. Cool, cool, cool. I was down there till Sunday. I went down there for the weekend, so I was trying to watch E3 stuff. I was trying to watch E3 stuff, but I was like, forget it. The ones that I missed were trash. Only one I didn't miss was Microsoft, and that was the best one. So I was totally fine with missing most of that junk. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much been my weekend. It was fine, good. I enjoyed myself. Got to relax a little bit. Um, yeah, it was cool. But moving forward to the stuff that we guys actually want to hear about is our opinions on these events, our opinions on these games launching, our opinions on these trailers, and all that good jazz. So first thing we want to start off with, because it's probably gonna be the longest topic, because it was the best one, was Microsoft's event. Microsoft actually held a E3 conference, like normal people should do. This is for that's a jab at you, Sony. And they actually showed off some good stuff, and I think they did a pretty good job. I think only person that has seen it was Josh. What would you grade it before we talk about it, Josh?
Um, I don't
Quick grade,
know
1 through 10,
what I would
a
grade
scale, I
it.
guess.
Like, I feel like it's at least like a B. Like, it
B.
wasn't
Oh, okay.
perfect, but it was pretty. I mean, I don't know if you want to do the numbers, like a 8 or 7 or 8, something like that. It was pretty decent. It had a few things I didn't expect. Overall, it wasn't like a lot of, I guess, like very, very big announcements, but everything seemed to be pretty clear. Like, these are the games we got coming out. They're exclusive. These are the
Hmm.
dates that they're coming out. They had a couple that were far out, but at least they were trying to highlight, like, this is, what you've been waiting for. Like, Halo's coming out this holiday. Forza's coming out in like 2 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, they seem pretty prepared, which I liked, because their past conferences, like last year, it was pretty like all over the place. Like they you know spend too much time on indie games or stuff like that, and not
Yeah.
really get into what people want to see. Uh, so it was pretty good. Um, for me, the biggest highlight, I guess, was uh,
Well, before
partly
we go, I
Halo.
guess I guess
Oh, okay.
before we go into the highlights, let's just go through. Let's talk about, I guess, the structure and how they kind of presented themselves. So you gave it an 8 out of 10 because of them providing clarity in their presentation, right? They just was clear on what they were trying to do, and the execution was clear as well. Correct? Or did you
Yeah,
have
they didn't
like
spend a lot of time talking about
right?
stuff. Like, you showed the
Hmm.
trailers, on to the next trailer. Pretty
Right.
clear, like, this is, day one exclusive and coming to Game Pass. So,
Right.
like, it was pretty understandable. Like, compared to Sony, sometimes, you don't know if the game coming to PS4 or not, because it's not clear.
Right.
um,
Exactly. Yeah, so I think that held true as well for me as well. It was kind of like a understanding of everything that they were kind of showing, as well as giving actual dates and time frames, and being able to be held accountable to those, and like seeing those times is really good. I also enjoy, again, the same thing where you said they didn't talk much. I was like, I didn't see a car come down from the ceiling. It's nice to see those gimmicks sometimes, but rather if you have the catalog to back up a hour and 30 minute, you know, actual presentation, and all you can do is games, that's more impressive than anything of you talking about them and, you know, giving more information. That's what the blogs are for. That's what people can go and look at the additional sites and bring up all that additional information. So I appreciated how they presented it. Maybe it was a time constraint on why they did it that way, but that was the best way I could have possibly gotten that information. So I give it a 10 out of 10 for just presentation alone. I'm not saying that it was 10 out of 10 worthy of the game quality or anything like that, but I'm saying that the presentation was 10 out of 10 for me because it did exactly what it needed to do, and it didn't provide anything less. You know, it gave me exactly what I was looking for in that regard. I guess now we can kind of, I guess, I don't think you saw it, right, Jalen? You didn't see anything about it, correct?
Yeah, I ain't see nothing.
Okay. But basically, to fill you in, they was back to back games. They ain't had nothing else to really. They ain't have much to discuss outside of just showing the games. They didn't show a lot of footage of the games, which was one of the downsides. They showed a lot of CGI. They showed a lot of, you know, concept of like what it would look like and things like that. Not really heavy on the gameplay wise, but they definitely had their moments where it was impactful, at least with what they shown and what they were kind of presenting. But yeah, it was overall a solid presentation. The I guess the highlights now, Josh. Yeah, you can kind of go into what was your highlight for the conference.
Um, it was a couple, but for me personally, I guess it would be Halo Infinite because that's the game they
Mm-hmm.
showed off before. You know, people didn't like what they saw, and I felt like they, you know, took it to heart and they would really like want to be very careful with what they show from Halo because we haven't seen it
Yeah.
almost a year. Um, and yeah, it seemed pretty straightforward. Like it is a Halo game. They're going more classic, which I know a lot of people like. I didn't mind Halo 5. Like I liked the additions, but I know people overall want more classic Halo. It looked pretty good on the gameplay sides, and yeah, I mean I was gonna play it anyways, but they seem pretty confident with the multiplayer. It's gonna be free to play, so hopefully people actually get into it and enjoy it. A couple other games that look good. Like I don't really play Forza, but Forza looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I gotta run it back with my
and
brother on that one now. You got to get to the real drag races. I'm about to buy the most fastest car on that one too. So
yeah, and it come out soon. Like
yeah,
I guess people weren't expecting it. Like it wasn't uh, announced,
announced or
but
anything. It was just like
yeah,
out of the blue.
that's coming out. And yeah, a couple other little games like Redfall is far out, but I thought their concept was interesting at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the main thing is like anything that I was kind of interested in, they were all coming to Game Pass. So I at least feel like, you know, I'm gonna try them out.
Yeah, that's what's the best part about it. I think the biggest sale point and the biggest thing for me again with also, um, are you done with your big moments that you really enjoyed before I go into mine?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I'm interested in Back for Blood, but that's pretty, you know, we've seen that type of game. It's just Left 4 Dead, just better
Yeah.
or newer. But yeah, those were the four that I'm at least looking for this year, or you know, this year, next year.
Yeah, I think some of the bigger ones that I was like really like excited to see, and I'm gonna keep it banned because this might not be something people want to hear. I feel like Halo didn't need it. Halo needed extra time, but I think they showed off kind of the same thing that they were probably going to show off before, outside of a smaller addition of polish. I think Halo Infinite was already complete. I think they should have showed Master Chief more than they showed uh, the Hispanic individual. I'm not sure who that new guy was, but it
Mhm.
didn't seem like it was much different outside of I think those moments were already going to be impactful. I think those moments where it showed Master Chief doing Master Chief stuff, maybe that should have been the way
Yeah,
that they presented it the first time. But I don't think it was any big difference from what they showed previously. I think that it was still going to be a solid game with a good story if people would have just gave it a chance to come out.
Yeah,
Now, I
I
think that
think
they are now refining things and allowing new things to kind of work out a little bit better. But at the end of the day, I think that game was still already kind of made the way it was going to be made, and they may have now been tweaking a little bit stuff for the year. So,
yeah, because they delayed it a year, and for that type of game, that's not a
yeah,
lot to actually change. Like you
yeah,
can, improve loading and pop
yeah,
in and stuff like that, but the game itself is finished, like you said.
yeah,
The main thing I feel like is just presentation. Like that's why they hired that guy that was on the stage because he
yeah,
a ex Bungie employee and worked on all the Halo cutscenes and stuff, so he knows how classic Halo looks. And I guess as long as you get people to feel like it's the
yeah,
game they want to play or what they're interested in,
yeah,
they'll give it a try. You know, I mean, like you said, the story's the same, and they didn't change anything else. It's just they're trying to present it in a
in a
better
better
way.
way, so people resonate with it more, which is totally fine. I feel like that was something that they lacked anyway. They lacked the ability to present a game in a great way to make it feel as if it was going to be something impactful, and that's why a lot of games that they maybe have great mechanics or great story, they don't really get seen light of day or like see people play them often because of the inability to kind of showcase a game in a more a meaningful way, because they're not used to it. They're not used to making movies. Sony's is used to making movies. Sony knows what it takes to get people excited about creation. What you created. So it's not hard for them to kind of bring out those big moments and make it seem bigger than life than what it really is. When really you're gonna just be playing the same type of gameplay and a better story. That's it. So it's really that presentation part that they had to kind of fix and get better at. And I really enjoyed the Halo Master Chief cutscene where he was flying through space doing some awesome stuff as usual. His one-liners, his talk with Cortana, or the I don't know her name, the new AI, about that. So what it did for me was already resonate that they were going to take their time to kind of provide a story that's at least meaningful or impactful in some way. And then multiplayer being free on top of that, it just helps that game breathe life into it further down the line as seasons and seasons go on and people drift away. People may come back because it is a free game. So it's both two big smart moves. And I think he probably had a hand in making that game free to play with multiplayer because it just makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
and then they was talking about the story and multiplayer coming out at different times, and I think
yeah,
they didn't want to do that. So
yeah, they pushed that to the they made sure that stuff came out at the same time too, to keep the excitement there. And so like again, he probably came through and made some smart decisions in regards to how that presented and how they wanted that stuff to roll out. And that's going to benefit them definitely, as long as they keep to it and they deliver a solid game. I don't need a 10 out of 10 from Halo. All I need is a solid 7 to 8 out of 10, as long as the story is fun and the multiplayer is great. Because I miss playing. I played little Halo 5 today because I missed like the floatiness and the crunchiness of that game, over like Apex and over Destiny. So it's kind of like it has its own feel that I'm not used to playing. Even though I just got introduced to Halo like 2 years ago. I didn't play that game like that, but I can tell the difference of how Halo should feel when I was playing all of the older games, and then I was playing Halo 5. I prefer Halo 5 because the simple fact is that it is the most updated version of a Halo experience. I don't prefer going back to play those types of games. Like I love Destiny 1. I'm not going back to play it because Destiny 2's multiplayer is bad. I'd rather than fix Destiny 2 multiplayer. There's plenty of things that they changed that are just significantly better and superior than it was in Destiny 1. Even though I preferred in that time space that Destiny 1 was good. Halo 5 is kind of that thing for me where it's like, yeah, I liked Halo 2's multiplayer and I liked the Halo 3's multiplayer. And I like the Reach multiplayer because I played a little bit of that as well. But the one that I kind of gravitate back to because it has a sprint button. It's modernized. Is Halo 5, and people might be upset about that, but that's how I like to play games. I like to see them evolve. I don't like them to stay the same. It's kind of boring at that point. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think me missing that is a good sense of scale where people may be missing Halo's multiplayer. So it being free, it being on PC, definitely will keep it fresh and keep people entertained for a long time, especially with the Forge community stuff. So definitely smart decisions there. Anything you want to add there, Josh?
I was gonna ask Jalen just to remind me, what was the last Halo game you played? Was it or played a lot of? Was that like 4 or is it Reach?
All right, the last ones I played was like 4. Yeah, 4 in Reach. I never really played Halo 5.
Yeah, but I know people because what they added for did they add sprinting? Like everybody could sprint in 4, something like that.
Uh,
Like
yeah, it wasn't an armor ability. And Halo Reach is an armor ability, and 4, everybody's able to sprint. Um, I don't. Yeah, but I think that's what it was. They added sprint for everybody on there.
so, do you now based on the games that you like to play, do you feel like you could play like a Halo game without a sprint button or FPS without a sprint button, or do you think that Halo should just be like slower pace?
Mm, honestly, I don't know. I ain't played Halo in a long time. I don't. I don't know if I can. I might be able to. I will say on Halo Reach though, I always gravitated to the sprint class instead of like I know people used to like run the armor lock because it's like efficiency or I don't like jetpacks because you're the bullet sponge or whatever. So I don't know if I really basically what I'm saying is I don't know if I chose sprint because of its utility and it's like the multi-purpose of it, the universal purpose of it, or if it's because I didn't care about using the other ones and they slowed down the game pace or whatever. But to answer your question though, I feel like I will be able to play Halo without a sprint button. I mean, I don't. I feel like I played Halo so long without a sprint button that the latter point of me playing Halo, like it wasn't. The sprint button was cool to have and stuff like that, but I don't think it's mandatory because I played 2, I played 3, um, I played Reach. You can't always sprint and Reach, stuff like that. You had ODST, you didn't have no sprint button, so I don't think it's mandatory for me to have a sprint button. But again, I ain't played Halo in a long time, so I just feel like Halo always had this slower paced combat and it take longer to kill people and it's like real floaty and you can kind of like be acrobatic to some capacity. Like it always had that feel to it, but that might be dated too though. So
I feel like
Yeah,
Halo 5 still has that feel. And at least for me, I feel like I can maneuver past people, throw a grenade, and kind of get back into cover because they have a dodge button as well. Because I was just recently, like I said, I was just playing it like 40 minutes ago. And I was able to get some nice kills on two team members because simply I threw a grenade, bounced back into cover, came back out with a pistol, and finished them off easy. Where it delays your movement, so it still gives you best of both because you can't if you continuously sprint, you don't get your health back, and so it slows down the pace. So you know that okay, if he's sprinting towards me, he's still weak because he didn't allow his armor to regen. So you still get that ability to kind of make a decision. Okay, should I continuously fight him or should I just slow down a little bit and pop back in the cover and try to heal up? And it gives you that decision making skill to kind of still outmaneuver your opponent. So that's what I enjoyed about at least playing it for a little bit was that okay, I still have the ability to be tactical in how I approach these two people that may be trying to swarm me right now, or may have what's some things called those swords that's trying to charge me. I can still bounce to the side, keep shooting him, and kind of play off of his movement. So it still gives you that, even though it's kind of got that sprint button now.
yeah. I feel like I like 5, and I feel like it was an improvement overall, just because of the stuff that you don't really think about that you need, like you can crouch, but you can also slide, like Destiny
Hmm.
or Apex, where you couldn't slide in any other Halo game. When you jump on the ledge, they'll grab it and pull themselves up. Whereas before, like if you couldn't get over the ledge, you would just fall back down because you didn't jump high enough. And it's just like stuff like that that is common in all FPS. When you go back to Halo 4, it just feels so not slow. I don't think the gameplay was ever slow. Like I think people tend to like stay on one side of the map. But the gunfights are pretty quick because the time to kill is high. But not being able to like be agile and like get behind cover
Maneuver.
quickly,
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like once you step out in the open,
You're at a
in
it's
the
like you
open.
have to commit to that fight. And I hate
Yeah,
those types of games where you have to commit to a fight where you can't get out of it. And if you don't, if you basically lose that fight, it's L's. And I think maybe that's part of Halo's destiny, but or history. But I don't like that type of gameplay. That gameplay is boring to me. It doesn't give you the ability to outmaneuver your opponent. It makes it feel
yeah,
as if you're at a disadvantage if you're trying to push and everybody else is at an advantage. And that's why I really love Apex, because movement characters are very important, and the ability to move and outplay your opponent and get away is very unique. Just like Titanfall 2, just like Titanfall 1, just like Destiny, you can maneuver, you can get out the way. I like playing with the hunter simply because he has a dodge ability. Um, those types of games make me have it makes my enjoyment go up higher because simply because of those types of mechanics. So um, I think Halo staying Halo is not going to really push the genre forward in a meaningful way. So me seeing them have grappling hooks, me seeing them have the sprint button still there, and them, those movement ideals and things like that, being able to reflect stuff, like all that stuff looked crazy. I was like, this is what I want from a Halo game. I want innovation, I want uniqueness, but I also want that crunchy feel of how that game play. So as long as they provide that, which that trailer for multiplayer showed that, I have no problem putting time into that game. No problem learning to get better at that game. So I think I'm gonna do that with this Halo, because I really have been um, I really been gravitating towards that type of gameplay and that type of style. And that's why our next topic, Battlefield, when they threw that
yeah. I was
hook
just
out
about to say
there,
that.
same thing. I was like, I'm about to play that too. Like, shoot, give me movement. You got me. That's pretty much all I need. I need movement. I don't want to play a slow, unbalanced game. And that's what it was for me with Halo. It just felt like grenades were overpowered, and it felt like you couldn't get away from nothing. And that's why I couldn't play the regular ones. And I was like, I'd rather play Halo 5. And then that's when I started playing Halo 5, and I gravitated a little bit more towards that. But nobody liked it, so it wasn't like I was. But I think this one is the best of both worlds, and it feels like people are going to probably give it a more of a chance at this point. So we'll see. We'll definitely see.
Yeah, I ain't played Halo in a while and stuff, so I ain't really got much say. I just remember Halo. You shoot at each other with an assault rifle, and you run up and punch each other, and half the time y'all gonna kill each other at the same time. I remember a lot of
Yeah,
death being involved with Halo. So, but I mean, I just feel
that's the
like it
thing.
just
I was surprised about Destiny is that like you don't really kill each other. Like that happened all the time in Halo. Like y'all both got a shotgun, y'all both shoot each other, and y'all both die. I just got used to that. But like that's weird in FPSs. So I guess that's something that, like you say, since it's slower paced, you just got used to that.
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, and Halo the hitboxes for heads and stuff was a lot greater. Double kills was pretty frequent in that game. Killing sprees were too. Um, it's just a lot of stuff in that game that you just. I will argue that it takes more skill to play Call of Duty than it do to play Halo.
Yeah,
But
I could see that. I think Call of Duty is a little bit more of a it's a it's a it's more of a Twitch game. That game has no real, in my opinion, it doesn't have a real strategy to it. It just has a lot of things that could possibly be better than the next person's loadout. I don't find that game to be tactical in any way, to be honest. That's Call of Duty though. Call of Duty just always felt as if there was nothing about movement that mattered. It was all about who saw who first and who had to drop on who first. There was the skill is kind of taken off the table most of the time, and there's like those, the dolphin drops and like, doing those things that help you become better. But really, in all reality, those are just it's not a cheater's mentality. There's manipulating of the game and how it runs, but those aren't things that necessarily every player are supposed to have access to. But the same thing would come with Apex, people jumping off the walls and jumping and finessing you. Those things that people don't have access to. So I understand it, but there's more skill in being better at Apex than it is at being in Call of Duty. In my opinion, I just don't think that game was ever really a esports difficult game. It wasn't for me. I feel like Halo was a little bit less of it. Didn't have that it didn't have that. It had a following for people that was dedicated to playing Halo, and it was competitive, but it was also too it was too I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. It's not like an Overwatch. It's not like a game that's really competitive and has a synergy to it. These games just don't have that most of the time, and I think that's why they're more. It's fun to play with friends. It's just fun to go around and grab something and kind of fight, but it's not like a dedicated game where you would see a lot of people gravitating toward it in a competitive sense. I think those games that do that, they have to be more refined. They have to be more. They have to have more to them than just being able to get to the weapon first. Getting to a certain drop first. If you got a powerful drop on the in the ring, that's just not competitive to me. And
Halo was always about map control, like having the good areas of the map, knowing where the power weapons spawn, and like knowing where the enemies are going to spawn, and like it wasn't really spawn camping because that wasn't really a big issue in Halo. But at least if like they're spawning downhill and you stand uphill, your whole team is stand up there, then you can pretty much win the match. Kind of like Destiny, where it'd be like a 5,000 point lead because they really can't do nothing. Whereas Call of Duty, like either you just want to get a good spot, like you hide behind a crate somewhere and just killing people, or you just run around the map and trying to get the drop on people. So it is very different.
I feel like I'm disrespecting a lot of people that play Call of Duty seriously. I think what I should say then is Call of Duty is easy to get good at because all you have to do is understand you have to understand the maps, and you have to understand what techniques most people are using that probably don't have they don't have access to or don't have the ability to learn. There is nothing about, okay, how do I get better at using this skill? When should I use it? What timing should I implement this in? It's nothing like that. There's no decision making in that part, but you can become really good at shooting people. So that's great.
Well, I mean, with that same argument though, I would say, like, okay, so when I think of competitive games and stuff like that, I think of like Smash Bros. I think of Overwatch. I think of
Continue.
Like the thing that really separate the characters when I think of like Fighter Z, stuff like that. The games don't take much to like learn how to play and stuff like that. But in order to be good at the game, it requires a certain amount of reaction time, which is why people use paddles and stuff like that. And then like perfecting these tasks while in the midst of combat and knowing when to use it. So like a big thing is like people always talk about Halo jumping. People always talk about drop shot and stuff like that. Call of Duty ain't got as many little things, but what I will say is I don't. Basically, what I'm saying is like those games are competitive to a certain degree, but because there's less variation in the game, you can't like I wouldn't call them super competitive. And the same thing goes for Halo because Halo has a lot of tendencies that Call of Duty has, but like something like Smash or Fighter Z or Overwatch, because people got roles, because people have different outlines of who they are versus everybody in Call of Duty, you're pretty much the same person. The only thing that differentiates your kill streaks and your class that you're running with. I mean, you can say sensitivity and all that type of stuff. You're pretty much the same as the next person. In Smash Bros, you got different matchups and all these different frame data. Same thing with Fighter Z. This person good at playing this assist. Same thing with Overwatch. So those games are more competitive. The point I'm trying to make is I don't feel like Halo is any more competitive or any less competitive, or Call of Duty is any less competitive than what Halo is, because you don't have roles and stuff in that game. And you can always say like we can spawn camp or find the power weapons or notice to get the better side of the map, head glitch, all that type of stuff. But I don't feel like those games are they're on the same frequency when they come to like being competitive and stuff like that. You can be more tactical with your team and stuff like, okay, watch that side. Usually there's 2 spawns over here, so people might be more apt to running this way. We just need to watch somebody on a grab lift or whatever, that type of stuff. But I feel like those two are on the same frequency when it comes to competitiveness because of everybody. You're the same person as the next, so you can't. Only thing gonna separate you is your.
I'll say for me, I feel like I've never played it against somebody in Call of Duty that I feel like I just can't beat. Like it's it's pretty level playing field. I see them first, I'm gonna kill them unless I just don't hit my shots. But I feel like everybody's on an even playing field. Ain't nobody like super sweet at the game. Like you can argue about sniping and stuff like that, but generally it's pretty even. Halo and like Smash, those are, I mean, not exactly the same, but those are games that I felt like there are people who are just way better at the game than I'll ever be. Like I
You felt like
remember
that with Halo?
in Halo 3, sniper bullets ricochet, but I fought people who would ricochet bullets from the sniper around corners and kill people like consistently. And I feel like because of how limited what you could do, like I can't get to him, and he's just gonna keep sniping me. So I'm just not gonna engage with that person at all. I mean, I wouldn't say that's true about every Halo game, but I feel like with using the tools that you have in that, there's might be a higher skill ceiling in some situations.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some of that, but I mean, then that part come in, like you could talk about like maps and different placement and things like that. I just never felt like Halo and Call of Duty. I honestly felt like it was people in Call of Duty that I might not be able to touch versus in Halo, because in Halo I just felt like it's so much stuff going for you. You don't have to know the little intricacies that's gonna separate the pros from the gods of the game. Like Melee, prime example. People glitch the game all the time. L cancel, wave dash, and that stuff is what y'all had access to. But that stuff is gonna require y'all to be able to effectively put in this input and understand, like spacing and all that other type of stuff. Knowing your data, your character, how far he can reach in different matchups. Like I feel like it's a much more greater ceiling with those games like Overwatch. Okay, well I'm fair or whatever, so I probably shouldn't go against like a Widowmaker far away, and I don't know matchups in Overwatch and stuff. Where I'm like Ash, I shouldn't go fight Reinhardt by myself because that's stupid. That's a waste of time. That's terrible gameplay. Versus Halo, all right, he just good at this map or something. He not a sniper or something, but that's not something that's not accessible to you. You just need to learn. You're gonna need to spend a little bit of time to do that. Versus you trying to learn how to L cancel and effectively do it in a game while considering a matchup that you're going up against. So I just felt like I ain't never felt like I felt like I came across people in Call of Duty. I'm like, man, I can't touch that dude, bro. This dude got 40 some kills, and I don't know how he got it, bro. He got 40 kills, and we only halfway through domination. He finna hit 100 at this rate. Like, I felt like
Yeah,
that with Call
but a
of
lot
Duty
of that
versus
is also
Halo.
just like playing the map smartly. It's not like he's one on one beating everybody. He
There
didn't
is
kill
no one
one
on.
40 people in one on one fights. Like
Yeah, I feel like what we're getting at is essentially is that the same thing is that neither one of those games are have the skills or the abilities to finesse or to provide a more
Competitive environment.
competitive environment, as we would put it, because when we play games a lot, most of the time they have a lot of variation to them. And the reason why we like those types of games that have a lot of variation to them, because it provides a more meaningful fight for every engagement that we do, because we have to go against the elements. So if we're not doing that often, we don't feel like it's that interesting. We always seem like, okay, well, it's just another regular average person. So we're not, like, I always lose interest in Call of Duty because that's what it is. It's like I don't care enough to continue to play this because it's not that impactful when I beat somebody, because I know down the line they could beat me again because all I did was shoot them faster. So I don't see the argument is the same, really. Yeah, you need more things to kind of engage with, and how it impacts the game is important, because those things is what drives you to continuously play. Like a Apex, I feel like regardless of how I play it, if even if people feel like the abilities are minimized, I play Loba different than I play Rampart. I play Rampart different than I play Gibraltar, and I always do that because there's always different things I have to engage with. I have to be smart about it and how I engage these characters and their unique abilities. So that always brings more fun to the game for me. I don't know if it does for y'all, but that's what it always does for me. It always makes me feel like, okay, now how do I make
feels
a
like you
better
played
decision?
Overwatch.
Yeah. Overwatch, I like Overwatch. Again, it's polished. Again, I always feel the same way about that. Everybody is not universal. You have to pick a role, and sometimes you have to stick with it, and that sucks for me. But this game gives you a little bit of freedom to be a healer attacker, because Jalen definitely doesn't sit back, even though he's a lifeline. It doesn't sit back to do that. He always runs to the fight, which is fine because you still can have the ability to get good enough with a lifeline to be on the front lines and healing people. So that's what I like about the games that actually provide variety. And as long as the grappling hook will provide me more mobility, the ability to now grab people out the, actually push people out of their arm, or I guess they're not their weapons, but their what am I trying to
Vehicle.
say? Yeah, their vehicles. Grapple them out the vehicles, things like that. That's all stuff that's going to impact the game in a meaningful way. So all those things, when I was seeing them, made me happy, because again, it's providing that new feel, that new experience, that more engagement, more variety, more finessing. To be able to grapple up and snipe somebody across the map, that takes a little bit more practice and a little bit more skill, or a little bit more, awareness of where people are, than it would to just normally jump up top of a thing and know that person probably gonna be on this ledge because that's the only sight line they can get to me. There's now multiple sight lines that you can take because you can grapple on the walls. Just like a Pathfinder, I have to look out for everything. I can't just be looking in front of me. I have to look at everything, and that's more fun for me because it gives me the ability to finesse more often. That's all it is. So I get what you're saying, Jalen. You like, yeah, I don't see the difference between Halo and this game because it's all the same in regards to how you push and how you kind of finish a fight. But now with these additional elements. Hopefully, with I don't know who all has that ability to reflect things off of them now. I don't know who has the ability to put down a turret or a shield in the middle of the fight. I don't know who has that now, so I have to be a little bit more thoughtful about my engagements and how I approach people versus just knowing that, okay, he probably got a grenade, he probably got a assault rifle, and we're probably going to go head up and we're going to see who get this fight out. But now I have to think about multiple things. So that stuff is fun for me. May not be fun for everybody, but it's at least fun for me. And that's kind of my take on what y'all were saying, at least. And hopefully I wrap that up.
We can move on to Battlefield because it was a couple things I want to say about it. Because I never been in the Battlefield. I played some of Battlefield 3.
Yeah.
But for me, those games are just too big, and I always felt I was, just out in the open, crouching behind a car trying not to get sniped, and it just never felt like, I know that's what people like because you're really in the heat of the battle, but I felt very limited on what I could actually do by myself, unless you're playing in a squad and your squad all sticking together. Then maybe you can do some more damage. But this, it's still, I feel like it's still a Battlefield game. You can be blowing up buildings and getting helicopters, stuff like that. But like you said, the grappling hook, and they also got the wingsuit, and just more mobility options to take advantage of the verticality of the map.
The large space,
Yeah, and plus, Frostbite games always look good, but that one looks very dynamic. I don't know how it'd be. I know before, they had different things buildings will blow up and fall and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, they showing y'all the PC version. No.
Maybe. They did say the next gen version is 120 people.
128 people, lobbies, 128 player lobbies.
So PC and PlayStation 5 and stuff. But we'll see how the console version is actually played. But I feel like that type of game maybe is better on PC. I feel like you won't have any limitations.
Yeah. I think they only showed one game that was at the conference that they actually showed that was going to be 4K 60, and that was Far Cry 6. And they actually showed what the game looks like on the Xbox Series X. But I don't know. I think Battlefield was just that in-game engine, right? Or was I wrong? Did they say that? I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think they said anything about
it actually.
Running it. Yeah.
Running it on the console. So, but I would expect it to look very similar in a way, not very similar, but similar in a way to the graphics and because it wasn't as if it was it looked really good, but it wasn't it was overly done with the wind flares and all that extra stuff. It just seemed like it was actually running in the engine, so it seemed like it was doing all that stuff real time, and it didn't look like it still looked amazing that way, because it was running in real time and all this big moments and all this stuff was happening, but it wasn't that movie effect on it where they dazzle it up 1,000%. That wasn't there. But I think it still looked really good though.
Yeah, if that stuff is actually as dynamic as it looks, the storm come through or the tornado come through, and it just changes how the map is played and how you engage with stuff. I think it'd be fun. I'll at least maybe give it a try. We'll see, because I feel like it's I think it's $60 on PC, but I don't know what it is on console. If it's not 70, then I might try it, or see if it's
with EA Play. We get it for $62.99 because it's pre-order right now. Okay. Yeah, so you'll get it for 10% off, but but if you wanted to buy it physical, it would be $70, unfortunately, because EA is moving forward with their trash. But yeah, it's $62.99 if you buy it via through the Game Pass and stuff.
Only other thing is no story mode. It's just multiplayer, which is cool for some people, but again, $70 for just multiplayer game is a big ask.
Big ask, especially if it's not if they're asking for battle passes and all that stuff at the end of it too. I would think Battlefield would want a battle pass and things like that. So you're asking us to pay for entry to just play the game, but then you're also, and then you got Halo on the other side that probably put just as much effort into it, and they got it for free. And like, yeah, it starts to get dicey there. But I do really want to play that game though, so I more than likely will still cop. But it's unfortunate that they EA is put their little crummy hands on it, but it is what it is. I'm actually excited for a Battlefield game, and that's the most important part. Is that there are actually multiple games that are on the horizon that actually seem intriguing and interesting to play, mechanic wise, and not just to look pretty. It actually looks like they are trying to make these games, these big arena games, because they've seen people do it enough. Like Apex does it well enough where they make a big map seem small with the zip lines and ability to move around the map quickly with their redeployment beacons. There has to be ways for you guys to do the same thing in your games. So that moment to moment gameplay has to be able to be captured at any given time, regardless of where you are on the map. You know what I'm saying? And that if that happens, then you gotta hit on your hand with Battlefield. Have you ever played a Battlefield game, Jalen?
Yeah, man. I played. What I play? I played. I think the main one I was playing was I played Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3. I used to play. They used to let you set up lobbies on there. And I used to play like team deathmatch. I think it was like first person to like 500 kills on Nasher Canals. Like, bro, Nasher Canals on Battlefield 3, bro. We used to just be on there it just be like 500 kills to like 32 people just running around shooting each other. And like, I mean, it was a team, obviously. It's not like you know. But yeah. So, and then I used to play Rush on another one. That's why I got them that Russian talk when it's like the enemy has set the charge. The enemy has defused the charge. It's like we're getting got his kick with us. Hey, that game was funny, dude. But yeah, I mean Battlefield. I play like the Nasher Canal thing every now and again. I play Rush just to hear the Russian dudes talk. But when I played Nasher Canals, I just like playing it because it was like quick engaging. Because whenever you play like Conquest or something like that, or sometimes you just be like Rush if I remember, Rush is like you basically like hit point A, B, C, D, and E or something like that, and it kind of kept the battle like isolated. Versus if you just play like I think it might be like a regular like team deathmatch or Conquest, and everybody just minding their business.
Just somebody on the tower over there, somebody in that building, somebody in the tank, and everybody just spread out, just shooting super far away. Kind of like, I guess Warzone. Like it feels like that, where it's just a huge ass map and people just out nowhere. Whereas Conquest was a little better. At least they like used to segment the. Rush used to segment the zones to be pretty small, like even size squares, until you push the next zone.
Yeah, so that was better, like a better game mode play. But like Josh said, bro, you got all these people on the map. You just hear a random helicopter flying. You hear a sniper shot come at you. Yo, dude just fall and hit the ground. The screen turned dark. You just chilling. Like I used to fall asleep on that game. Y'all know I'm gonna fall asleep on a game, and that was a game I'll fall asleep on because I'm like, man, I just spent 20 minutes playing this map, and I seen like. I'm like 2-5, or like I ain't see nobody, bro. Like it was just and then you'll just run through this random warehouse and one dude will run up and shoot you. Just be like, bro, I ain't even think I was gonna run into nobody. So people used to just get the drop on me because I ain't never feel like I was gonna run into people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I downloaded Battlefield 1 and I was gonna play that tomorrow because I still got some time off, and I just wanted to see. Because people really like Battlefield 1 for some reason, but they didn't like Battlefield 5, and they didn't like Battlefield 4. They said it didn't age well, and I was like, I really enjoyed Battlefield 4 when it first came out. But I was gonna play some of the Battlefield games tomorrow just to see what what those games were like when I'm comparing it to the newer stuff. So definitely want to get back into those. And I think the conquest, the big moment ones may be something that I tend to gravitate more towards too at the beginning. But if the gameplay is solid and I really enjoy just like the abilities and running around and the grappling hook, I might start falling to those smaller maps just so that I can engage more enemies more quickly, you know. So that way I get a best of both worlds. And then maybe if Conquest is really just that great, then we kind of stick with that one. But I think, you know, me being who I am, I think I enjoy like a little bit of like both. So hopefully, if Conquest can keep the engagements high throughout the entirety of the game because of the new mobility, because of the new stuff, but I just don't want to be trekking for miles on end trying to get to back to engagements. I want to see how they create a sense of a scale and closeness when it comes to that conquest when you're jumping in and out those fights like that. So I'm excited for it. Definitely haven't played a Battlefield game in quite a long time. I think 4 was the last one I really enjoyed and played a lot outside of Bad Company 2. I didn't even play 3 or Battlefield 2. I just played Battlefield Bad Company 2. So yeah, I think EA, I think Battlefield being good is a good thing overall because I'm tired of, I'm tired of Call of Duty. To be honest, they do the same thing. I think their wars. I think the best thing they've done recently is Warzone. They really made a compelling battle royale for people that really like battle royales. I just hope that um, it's not for me. It's fun, but it's just not for me because of simply because there is not much competitive to. It's not enough. It's not competitive enough for me, I guess. People can get really good at the game and they can become the greatest snipers and they can stay on top of things for a long time. I just don't find that engaging enough. Um, I think it's really just because I play too much Apex now. I think it's really because I'm always looking for these types of modes and abilities within a different mode game, which I think I need to stop because it stops my engagement in different types of games because I don't feel like they're missing something, so I don't want to play it, versus just taking it for what it is. But yeah, that's how I feel about Warzone. But what was the next thing? I guess that we kind of wanted to speak on quickly. There's a
I
few
don't
things actually.
know about where we on time, but we were gonna mention Elden Ring.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. We're good on time.
and Guardians of Galaxy.
We're good on time. Let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians
It's
of the Trash.
uh, I have no idea what. I watched it in 4K. I was like, okay, it doesn't seem terrible, but I'm just like, did we need this? Is it going to be intriguing? So, um, I guess before I start being negative, let me talk about what the positive I saw in the game. Positive, if what I saw is that they actually had gameplay, right? So you know that they've been at least working on it or have been creating the game for a while. So they showed a lot of the gameplay. They showed their ability to make decisions that will impact your crewmates' feelings. Not much to how those impact the game, but I'm assuming that these will also impact the game and everything like that as well. So throwing rocket across that little gap or whatever, or giving or providing Groot to be the person that goes in the crate to be sold. Um, these things have an impact on the story. Not sure what that impact will be, but these things showed at least that they have already kind of built this world out. They built out this storyline, and they kind of created multiple ways or avenues. At least I'm hoping that the story can play out over time. So that's good. That's great that they did that, and it shows that they are, they took some information from the source material, and they kind of tried to create their own space. Graphics were fine. I wouldn't. There's nothing to write home about. It's not like it's going to blow you away, but it's not going to disappoint either. It just seems like that they're going to have some pretty cool looking locations and vistas to look across. And that's where it ends for me. What did you? Okay, before we. Okay, what was your thoughts when you first saw it, Josh?
I mean, I'll start with my only positive really is that it is a single player, like, uh, offline, story.
Mm-hmm.
So at least that's why if at any time I would ever play it, it would just be for that experience, just to go through the story, enjoy it and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one of the big issues with the Avengers game is that you might be interested in the characters or the story, but you're also stuck in a loot game, always online, type
Mm-hmm.
situation, and so you can't just get in there and play the story or think whatever at your pace and not engage with those online features.
Mm. Yeah. So
Um,
that does sell it to where it's like okay, well, if I had to put up with, I'm gonna put up with long, and I don't have to have this live service feel to it. So that is a positive.
yeah.
Mm.
I guess the negatives, like the gameplay doesn't look good. Like
Yeah.
the game overall looks just like the Marvel's Avengers game that came out last year, whatever.
I honestly thought it was a
Like,
DLC before they actually
yeah,
showed it.
it looks like it's the exact same people that worked on it. Like it might be a different studio, but like they're using the same, assets, or they're sharing the same like pipeline, so that it can all feel connected and stuff like
Right.
that. But because of that, the combat isn't the best. Like we all know, the Marvel's Avengers, the combat was pretty weak overall
Mm-hmm.
for that type of game. It might be I might be able to put up with it for a single player game, but for an online game, like I got bored super quick. The issue is for me is that it's fine if you want to have a main character, but it's weird that they pick like Star Lord as the main character because he doesn't really punch people. He just sit back and shoot, and so it's just
Mm-hmm.
weird. Like everybody else running in there punching with swords, and you're sitting in the back. You can order them around. Like I'm sure the combat might actually have some fun to it. It just feels like the gameplay wasn't good enough for this. I don't know what to say.
Scale of a game.
Yeah,
I,
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get tired of it, or feel like, all right, I just want to skip the fights and just get to the story.
yeah. It's and that's how I saw the combat as well. I saw it as clunky. I saw it as non-fluid. I saw it as okay. If you're so now, now they feel like your punches are floating towards it. I don't feel like it has a lot of great feedback for the punches. It's definitely not the Marvel Spider-Man from Sony and Insomniac. It definitely doesn't feel like that. They can have that type of like they could have had the type of polish. I'm not sure what happened. I'm assuming, as you stated, the pipeline was used for the Avengers, and it kind of shows in that way. It's like combat just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem the best, and again, because it's a single player story, that can be a pass, and as you stated, if the story is good enough, it's just that when I was watching it, I was like, this is corny, yo. I just didn't like it. I was like, this doesn't even. It's not funny. It wasn't good writing, in my opinion. It has some moments
No.
where I was like, oh, okay, that's funny. But it was just, most of the time I was just like, okay, when is it going to be over so I can get to the next thing? Because this is not, engaging or intriguing enough. It just didn't seem like they were doing the source material any justice. And maybe that's because we were tainted by the movie and how we're used to seeing these people and
Kind
these
of.
voice actors. But at the same
But they
time,
had a game already.
yeah.
It
Oh,
was Telltale, but
true.
they
You're
had a
right.
Guardians of the Galaxy game that came out like three
Yeah.
years ago. I feel like that is whatever issues with the writing is the same issues with like the Avengers game. Is that they're trying to keep it consistent, where it's like this is our universe and this is how it is. It's just I don't like how they write and how they present it, and
Mhm.
especially compared directly to the movies, like it sucks compared to movies. So y'all should
Yeah.
make it very different, So I don't know. Like I mean, Spider Man was not um, too different than like a movie. It felt like it had better writing and like the characters were better acted and things like that. Whereas the Guardians game, I feel like none of those characters have good actors. Like they might be funny
Right.
sometimes, but if the actors are not good enough, then I'm just not gonna care about them having conversations. Like y'all talking too much. Like I don't want to hear what y'all say.
Yeah, and they were talking over each other, and like the voice lines were blending into the cut scenes, and it just felt like I was like, y'all just nagging now, just be quiet for a little bit. And I understand that's their concept is that they talk a lot. I didn't like the conversations that were going on. I think it was like a conversation about his jacket getting dirty, and I was like, "Bruh, you walking stiff in the mud talking about your jacket. You ain't brushed it off. You ain't looked at it." It was just like nothing's matching. And I was just like, "Bro, this is." It just felt, you know, it felt like mailed in. It didn't feel like authentic to a it didn't have that nuance, that animation, that extra step to make it feel like a real breathing character. It felt like somebody wrote some lines and then they just put it in the game.
Yeah.
It's like
If it wasn't for the graphics, like that's what I expect from just like a not
mm,
knockoff, but like those movie kind of
yeah,
game. Like, this is SpongeBob game because the movie coming out the same year,
yeah,
so
and
it
that's
doesn't
why
feel like it's its own world. It just feels like a knockoff or a cheap copy,
yeah.
even though they're supposed to be building their own world. Whereas Spider-Man didn't feel like that. That's why people like it. It feels like its own grounded world where it can stand on its own.
Yeah, I just think sometimes people get. I don't know if it's like laziness or is it just more so they feel like they couldn't get much done in time. But all I saw was when I looked at that presentation was the flaws, and the positive things were just outshadowed by it. Unfortunately, it was the positive things that I saw again were the uniqueness of the world, the creatures that we were fighting. I was like, okay, it looks pretty cool to fight. If we had more unique creatures, I would think I can get into that. And Guardians of the Galaxy, they have so much to play with in that realm. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I would want to see a game like this really succeed because then we could get more games that has a lot of uniqueness like I can be surprised by because I know I'm not just gonna be fighting Venom or the Goblin or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's actually unique stuff in the world that you can play off of that most people don't know about. So or storylines. It's just that this does not. It's not how you present a chance opportunity. This doesn't seem like they put too much effort into it. Doesn't seem like they just made the right decisions, and unfortunately, it might pay for that, and that might cause the game to never be to really be discussed again. Because I really enjoyed the Telltale series, Guardians of the Galaxy, um, and everything. So I don't know. I think I don't want to be too harsh on it. It hasn't come out yet, but from that demo showing, it was just as bad as Halo Infinite's first one, at least perception wise. Not for me. I guess Halo Infinite's first showing was not bad for me. I was like, it looks fine. They tried too hard to show the enemy and the new characters when they should have just showed Master Chief, but it still showed me that okay, that they're at least trying to provide a meaningful story. just to pick the wrong parts to show. This doesn't seem like they picked the wrong parts to show. It just seems like it's just a bad showing. You know what I'm saying? It's different.
Yeah. I don't know what type of, because I feel like this is probably comes from them like having deadlines or they got to work with a lot of
Yeah.
Marvel and Disney and they got to get this stuff out and stuff. So they don't have time to like really go back and fix stuff or improve it. I'll say. Same thing with the Avengers game because the Black Panther expansion is coming out.
Maybe it is Disney because when maybe Sony forced them to give them more time for Spider-Man. I don't know, but it seemed like all the games that kind of got Disney in control of them, and they put them out to other people. It's like it's a problem. It's not like really.
Yeah.
It's not really
and I feel
great.
Like that's because Sony had creative control. Like maybe they work with Marvel still, but they, if they want them to delay it 2 years, they'll delay Spider-Man and fix
they
it.
can't do nothing, right?
Yeah.
Just like when they, because it's still a partnership for Spider-Man within the Marvel universe, because that Sony still owns, and they probably own the rights to the games. So even though it says Marvel on it, it's probably, still under Sony's umbrella where they have control of how it's presented in the gaming world versus at least that IP versus, other people have to be at the beck and call of Marvel, and that possibly could be where they have to meet those deadlines and it has to be shown, and this is what you get. So
yeah. But yeah, the Black Panther DLC they showed off for the Avengers, it looks okay. Mainly it's a free expansion and it's supposed to be like a story mode, so hopefully it's good. I'm probably just gonna pick up the game for like $20, try it, and if it's sucks or I don't care anymore, then I'll put it down. But like I want to play these games. It's just whatever Crystal Dynamics is doing, it's just not landing for me. But we'll see.
Same. I feel that same way, G. But what else? I guess anything input from Disney and Guardians of the Galaxy, Jalen?
Man, I ain't even seen the first movie. I ain't got nothing to say about that game.
You ain't seen the movie? Oh my god, G. Go watch the movie.
I only seen the second one.
How you see the second one, not the first one? You went to go see it with Simone?
Simone would have been watching.
Okay. You get a pass, I suppose, but you need to watch it. They good movies. I like them.
Yeah, she said they were good.
Yeah. But the next thing we wanted to kind of discuss and talk about was kind of that Ratchet and Clank. I know we were talking about it earlier, Jalen, about Ratchet and Clank is PS5 exclusive, and it's $70. And the original one that was remastered and revitalized was $40, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, the Ratchet and Clank original I would call it a remake, right? Because it's not a remaster.
Yeah, it was a remake.
That one was really good as well, and it had a lot of polish to it, but it didn't cost as much as it was $39.99. It didn't cost as much as this one. Talk to me a little bit about that, Josh. Jalen, what y'all think about Ratchet and Clank being 70 buckaroos ripped apart?
I don't know, man. Like, I didn't look super in close into like the detail, but I feel like they did like an amazing job with the Redux or whatever that they put on the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, so I mean, you know how games generally look and stuff on the PS4. Then you got some exceptions that makes the game look way better. Like Last of Us or something like that, or Ghost of Tsushima. Well, in some aspects, I mean, some of the facial expressions weren't the best, but you know how beautiful a game can be if it's really, really pushed. And then you got Ratchet and Clank. They selling this game for $40. Granted, it's probably $40 and not $60 because it is a remake. But the fact that they took a PS2 game and completely, I don't know if they switched the engine or anything like that, but the game was like completely overhauled and like it looked amazing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how it looked compared to the movie and stuff like that, but the game looked amazing. So I'm just kind of figure out like I feel like with those games, they don't take as much resources or power or things like that to make the game look as nice because you're not comparing it to like real people, if that makes sense. I feel like it's harder to make real people than it is to make like animals or little cartoon characters in a video game because
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, so basically, what I'm saying is, I don't feel like that game should be $70, and and that's not to step on nobody else's feet or to say, I just don't. I don't think that game pushed that much boundary. And with Ratchet and Clank being the type of games that they are, I played most of the Ratchet and Clanks, if not all of them. They pretty. I mean, you're gonna start off with a little single fire gun. You might upgrade it to get dual. You can add maybe mods and stuff like that. You keep leveling your gun up and stuff like that. You do a new game. Plus, like the premise of the game is gonna be pretty much the same. And for to not have like a multiplayer or any type of thing that's coming out with it, maybe they're gonna make something free, like what I'm saying, some type of DLC expansion, free to play or something like that. Multiplayer, I don't even know how they implement a multiplayer with that game. I just feel like the game wouldn't flow well as a multiplayer, but um, just all that stuff being said, it probably give you like 12 to 16 hours of gameplay, and they want $70 for it, and I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of feel like that's much for that game. I felt like the remake was a decent price. I say it shouldn't really be no more than like $60, but I feel like they got the excuse of pushing to 70 just because it's on a PS5 and it's next gen and other games is too. So Demon Souls is more justifiable to be $70 than what Ratchet and Clank is, in my personal opinion. But
Yeah, I think Demon Souls should have been lesser as well, just because they had source material to work with and it kind of kept everything the same. I just redid all the stuff, but I know it's really hard to redo all of this stuff, so I get that being the case there. I think both of them have some small, hint of being worth the $70 to them. But in my opinion, that game was never going to be worth that much money. It was never worth 60 to me. So for them to put it to that price, it kind of shut me out to the point where I was like, I don't care to play it. I'll play it when it turns to be 40 or $50, and I will pick it up then. Because I still want to support Insomniac because I think they make great games. I just don't think that it's worth that amount of money. Um, and it's hard to kind of say that because there's plenty of games now that I'm making the conscious decision to not play soon. Like Returnal was another conscious decision. I'm not going to play it soon. Um, and I kind of wanted to kind of give that game a try. And there's not really a big difference between $60 and $70. It's just the difference is that my money feels like it's just like a feeling of money being stolen because it's not even as if I can't afford $70 games. I know you can too. It's more so it's like a feeling of like, is this justifiable in price right now? Does this seem as if this is the right price? And it never does for me ever. Not for $70. It never feels like it's the right price, and I think it might take a while for me to get used to paying $70 for games, um, especially single player games, games that I don't have any initial or continuous engagement. I could see myself paying that amount of money for like these very over the top, very big open world type games where they have a lot more like DLC included as well. I could see me justifying that in my brain. But when it comes to games that are just single player linear games, I don't really see the justification in paying that amount of money for it. Understandable that you put a lot of level into the details. You probably did a lot of things to push the limits. I just don't feel comfortable yet. And I think that's what's keeping me from playing Ratchet and Clank. And It's not like I don't think it's going to be a great game or anything. I just don't find it, and that's the justification there. It's just not finding it at the right price yet. And once I get it to the right price that I want to pay for it, which is it could be $60 as well. But once I start to wait, the reason my ability to want to play the game diminishes even more. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I don't, because most of the time it's an impulse buy when it comes to video games for me, and it comes to games that I'm not anticipating, but I'll give a try. Now that I have already waited and the time frame of, my impulse has passed, I more than likely won't pick up this game until it's $20 or till it's $30, because simple fact is I have other things I can play, and if I can play those for a cheaper price and hold off on getting you until you're as cheap as them or stuff like that, then I don't necessarily need to have that new game that came out recently, especially when I don't think it deserved that amount of money. Whereas an impulse purchase, Deontay, if it was $60 and I felt like, okay, I could justify the reason why it's $60 in my brain, because that's been the norm for the last 10 years or so, right? It's been like a while. That normality of it kind of made me justify that price point. But now I'm trying to determine whether $60 is a justified price point now, because I feel like is that a really good price point for any game at this point in time anyway, seeing how all the DLC they have, all of the microtransactions that they put in, all these great free to play games that we now play. Is it really justified to pay $60 for these games? So because they raised the price, is now making me determine whether or not the first initial price that we were used to, is that even worth it. So it has, that $70 price point has done more to impact my thinking behind purchasing of games than they really probably thought it would, because now I'm very more cautious about what I buy. I'm more particular about the games and the quality that I need to pick up, and it just pushes me more towards Game Pass. And I don't think Sony thought about that, because they don't have a model right now that's really good for having their standalone games sell well or even be played well, because it's the difference between selling well and actually being played continuously through. A lot of games that people buy, they don't intend to finish them or stuff like that. So it kind of comes into play of this whole Game Pass functionality where it starts to make more and more sense for the for people that want to kind of conserve cash and not be able to have to buy every new game that's coming out, and they just have a way of playing it for a smaller, cheaper fee. And that's going to just resonate with a lot more people as time goes on. Xbox is in a really good spot to kind of steal a lot of thunder or source from Sony at this point. And they doing it to themselves, kind of. Their lack of engagement with their community, their inability to kind of give up on the crossplay, the not being able to take your microtransactions off the store, their push for $70 games, their lack of games being continuous in the PC world. They don't want really PC games, the games to kind of push to the PC. What's going to happen when Microsoft starts to continuously put out games that people actually want to play, and they stop, providing those games to Sony, and then they have Game Pass already on the back burner? PlayStation has to come make up something, and they have to lose something that they really care about, which is their games. They're going to lose that. Microsoft can do that right now because they don't have that many good games, but they are creating good games. So it's just, I don't know. It's a lose-lose situation for me. I feel like the subscription has made me think about it more, and the $70 price tag has just made me heighten that even worse. It was like, I'm not buying these games like that no more. These games are coming to Game Pass in this way, and they're giving me similar experiences. Like Psychonauts 2. I'm comparing Psychonauts 2 to Ratchet and Clank. I'm like, yeah, I like Ratchet and Clank, but Psychonauts 2 is coming to Game Pass, and I could play that for the free ball. And it's going to probably give me a similar experience to what Ratchet and Clank would have if I would have just waited, And I'm just like, okay, I just play what's the name, Psychonauts when that come out, and then once Ratchet and Clank is cheaper, I go back to it. So it's once they start giving me substitutes, which they have already with the games that I play anyway. It's not like Sony has any first person shooters. It's just that Sony has all of the single player games that I enjoy. But when they start asking me to pay $70 for those single player stories, like they're basically Telltale games with a little bit more gameplay. I'm still gonna have that same mindset of like, I don't want to pay $70 for this game when I don't think it's gonna give me the $70 worth of, you know, enjoyment. And I think that's where Ratchet and Clank kind of falls for me now, and it's unfortunate because I really like Insomniac, but I'm not paying for that game right now. And that's how I feel about most of the industry switching to that $70 price tag. I'm just like, are you in Game Pass? Then I ain't playing you. And that's pretty much what it is.
$70 it's a weird price to ask when it's not very clear with what you get for $70. I mean, it wasn't always like that with $60, but if Overwatch is $40 and it says multiplayer only, like that makes your expectation clear that the reason why they're not asking for 60, or if they are asking for 60, is because they're adding something else to it. You're getting extra DLC or something to justify that extra price hike. Which, if it's clear that the game is $60 and an extra 10 is the first season of content, or you get the battle pass for free or whatever, then that makes it easier. Like, oh, okay, I'll buy Battlefield 2042 for $70 because I'm gonna get the first battle pass included, but they're also asking for more money on top of that, and it's just not clear what you're spending your money on. In Ratchet and Clank, I'm sure it's a good game, but again, compared to other $70 games, it's not clear with what you're getting. Like Demon Souls is 70, Spider-Man is 70, but it's technically like a $40 game plus a remaster. So it's not $70 for that one game. So I mean, hopefully Sony will realize that and provide, I want to say incentives, but find a way to make people more comfortable spending that money, other than just saying like games cost a lot and we make high quality games and this is what they cost. You really have to justify that price hike.
Yeah, what happens when they start making really high quality games and they're just putting them, like, they have third party games that are really high quality and they're in Game Pass and it's like $15 a month. So, and if you got the, that super sale or whatever, I got it for like $5 a month. And it's like, what justifies me like that? What was, I can't even remember now, but like games like Outer Worlds 2, Atomic Heart, Stalker 2, not even like Redfall, Contraband, Plates. Well, Plates, I don't really know about that one. But these big games are coming out day one to Game Pass that they have to pay $70 for on their end. That's ridiculous. I'm not paying that. I'm not going to do that because now you made it normal for me to have to pay $70. So you're hurting yourself. Those games, I think most of those games are, I think Stalker 2 is going to be exclusive for a little bit. I think Outer Worlds 2 is going to be on the PlayStation. I think Redfall is not. Atomic Heart is. And Contraband is as well, I believe. Those games are going to still be coming to the PlayStation, but people are on the PlayStation are going to pay $70 for them. That's unfortunate, That's like, and then Psychonauts, same thing. Psychonauts is coming to the PlayStation. They paying $70 for Psychonauts. And I'm just like, I don't know. Wait, I don't know if Psychonauts is 70. I think it might be still 60. But still, my point is made at this point. It's kind of like they're really hindering themselves by doing this, unless they have something in the tuck that they're not telling us, and they're gonna have this huge subscription service where they're going to be providing first party games day one. First off, it's crazy that Microsoft is doing it with their basic games. I don't see them doing that. I don't see that model working for Sony in that way. All they have is their games. Like Nintendo, I would never see that subscription service working for them because that's all they have is their games. So I just don't see it working. Microsoft has plenty of money to throw around, and they can build the service. Just like a Netflix, they have plenty of money to throw around right now where it's not profitable. But when it becomes profitable and they have enough people subscribe to it, it's like the best thing ever. I don't see that happening for Sony. They don't have the cash amount to do that right now. Not in my opinion. Sony's like, it's different. It's a media company. It's not everything. Microsoft is everything. So it's a different type of battle that they're fighting. And I wouldn't have pulled the gun so early on the $70, to be honest. I would have waited. I would have gotten my money up. I would have got my bands up. I would have continued to provide great games, and then I would have found a way to compete with Game Pass in a different way. I wouldn't have forced people to make a decision constantly to whether or not they want to buy a new game or wait for it to drop in price, because that is the norm. I guarantee you that's the norm for a lot of people. I want to see how Ratchet and Clanks do in sales before I kind of make that complete estimate, or my make up my mind or that determination in there. But I honestly think my Ratchet and Clank isn't going to sell as well as they hoped, and I think the same thing happened with Returnal. I just don't want that to start to fall over into Horizon. I don't want that to fall over into God of War, because these are huge games that need to sell well so they can continue to make these huge games. So, it's scary for me in regards to that, because I don't think it's a winning model right now. I'm always looking at the business aspect, and I don't think that's good business. So, we'll see though. What do y'all think about like that, and the idea of losing out on experiences because of the price points that they're trying to push? Do y'all even care, or do y'all like always been that way where you kind of guard what you pay for anyway?
Man, I felt like for basically this whole past generation, I felt like I was getting less, and I was paying more and getting less. I almost said like a Drake quote. What do you say? Going less and going out more.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm getting less and paying more, man. Yeah. So I'm like
dancing with them girls he never seen before.
Dancing with some girls I never seen before. You used to call me on my cell phone. Not this one. But yeah, y'all know how it was with that $60 price point, man. I just kind of, obviously we was in college and stuff too, but like really that $60 price point for me, man. I just felt like I think I was more comfortable paying $60 for Xbox 360 games than I was for PS4 games, and I think that's because I think the microtransaction world was so much smaller, and I felt like I was getting a full game, even though some of the games still had like DLCs and all that type of stuff. Season passes weren't a thing. Microtransaction wasn't a thing. I think the first game I remember seeing a season pass for real was, and they wanted too much for the season pass too, but they supposed to get, it was like Call of Duty Elite. You get all the Modern Warfare 3 maps, and then you get like this Call of Duty Elite like subscription type thingy and stuff like that. Basically a ripoff. But what I'm saying is I felt like I got more of a complete game, and then I felt like we entered this phase where like I remember when Black Ops 1 had dropped, people was complaining about the game not being complete. But they completed the game and stuff like that eventually. But you still didn't have to pay more. I didn't feel like they really like, it wasn't overt that they just cut content from the game in order to be like, yeah, we finna sell it later and stuff like that. And there's no disrespect for what they got to do, because obviously it takes a certain amount of production value and all that type of stuff to make the game. But I just felt like I was getting more at a certain point in time, and then my $60 started trickling a little bit, and now we're in this PS4 generation where, because I think Mass Effect 3 was like the first game I really seen some for real microtransactions in that mug, like straight gambling. Um, but with the PS4, I just felt like every game was expected to have a season pass. They got the red standard version, the deluxe, the gold edition, um, collector's edition, and it was just $60 weren't the same $60 that I spent in 2012.
Yeah.
So that's where I've kind of drew the line a little bit.
Okay. What about you, Josh?
Um, I mean, you know, I'm always the outlier. I feel like if I enjoy the game, I spend the money on it. But I feel like it still has to be justified. Like, you know, if tomorrow Nintendo's like Mario Odyssey 2, $70, like what? Like even if I enjoy it, it's like what are you doing to justify this price hike? Because I mean, if they want to, they can say games are super expensive to make and they're $100, they're $120, and it's like it's not just I don't know. A lot of people when they talk about this stuff, they talk about it like you go to the movies. You know, you pay your $15, $20 at whatever movie theater, and you get your entertainment, and then that's it. And it's like me spending $60 is not just a fee or a ticket just to play it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're getting value out of the game. Like this is something you own. You're gonna keep for a while. You're gonna play hopefully more than once or play for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like as a consumer, I want to feel like I'm getting $60 worth of the game. You know, so you know if Halo is $60 and it doesn't, well, put it this way: if this Call of Duty, oh yeah, Call of Duty, perfect example. They used to offer a single player and the multiplayer for $60.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, maybe there's no single player, but it's still $60. And then next generation, they're increasing the price, and now you're getting even less. You're getting the multiplayer, no story, but it's $70, and you can see the value of your dollar, you know, inflation going up, and that doesn't feel good as a consumer. So
Right.
it's the main thing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's kind of like I feel as if you guys you hit that right on the head when you said the fact that stuff it's been weakened in the last generation, and how you're charging us more, but the same thing is going on. You know, nothing's changed out the tactics that you guys are utilizing, and the blasphemy we have to go through with microtransaction and skiing costing this amount of money. But at the same time, there's the whole, you know, the gambling stuff with the VC points and the fake free games. I respect the free model more than anything, because literally you don't have to pay for anything, and you still get the full game and all the updates and everything. But if you want to look a certain way or engage with that community in that way, you can. The whole idea of having to pay to play a game and then pay to to get additional content for said game is what I really kind of draw a line at. I'd be like, well, this isn't like Dragon Ball Z Fighter Z. I really enjoy that game. I do not feel like I should be paying $6 a pop for new fighters. I just don't. I feel like there should be some type of model where I can play the game like Street Fighter 5, which they did a good job with, where you can play the game and you can unlock these characters in some way. I don't feel comfortable paying outright, and that provides, you know, the community a way of engaging with the game in a better way. But and you already paid $60 for the game in the first place, so I just don't see. I don't see how a game supposedly can stay balanced where some people can have characters while others can't. I don't like that type of stuff, you know, and that's where Apex does a good job because it's free and they just kind of let you build up enough coins to kind of buy all the characters as they come along. Uh, but that's not the case for those types of fighter games where you have to play with a new character. Sometimes they have, they have things that they can do that you really want to practice with or try out and kind of get better at. You are at a disadvantage at that point, So it's just interesting, I think it just makes me think of gaming in a different way. It just makes me think of, like you guys were saying, like, yeah, they're trying to get down on us, and my man raised no fool, so I'm just gonna be sitting with stuff like I don't really care. I think Microsoft is going to continue to dominate with their ability to provide value for your dollar, and I think it might be the writing on the walls, man. There might be a whole Macy's out here, and we ain't fighting the Walmart. Walmart gonna win. It's always gonna win. It's like they have the most convenience. They have the most. They hold everything. You just a department store. You better give it the times, or you gonna lose. So, I think that's what you have to think about it. Just think about it that way. It's kind of, yeah. I think they're gonna lose. But I can't make that decision right now. They have great games that they can keep continuous to make. Nintendo's been around for forever, and I still don't understand it. But they have great characters. They still have great ways of innovating, and they kind of propel the genre forward in a meaningful way. As long as Sony is not at any time soon going to be a company that's going to go out of business, or going to be a company that starts to, all they're going to start seeing is diminishing returns on their investments, and that might impact their creativity in the future, and how they create games, and how they funnel out and polish games. And I don't want that diminished quality coming from Sony, because that's just not what they do. They produce games that are meant to be watched, and there are times where people sit down and just play those games, and we all kind of come together and talk about it, because that's how impactful their games can be. I just don't want that to be lost because they now have to make budget cuts because they're not making enough money. You know what I'm saying? Like, that type of stuff kind of worries me. And it just seems like that's where we're going to head to if they don't make better decisions. But
man, we just woke. That's all. We know what our money's worth. They want to give us garbage. They ain't getting jack. You hear me? They ain't getting jack. They ain't getting nah, just. But
yeah, man, they ain't getting jack, G.
But yeah, man, nah, like for real, like that's real talk, man. Like, is if they even if they just became more clever in the way they gave us a game, like, I'm tired of people talking about they found code for this and that. This is supposed to be in the game, and you know what I'm saying, people, what they do, data mine and stuff like that. Like, all that type of stuff is like, I'm like, so y'all telling me y'all got, because the way I think about it is they got a puzzle piece in the game that's supposed to connect with this other puzzle piece. And this puzzle piece is literally only serving as a keyhole to, like, unlock what's the rest of the disc or whatever you want to say. So, like, when they drop the updates and all it is an add-on, it ain't even a whole, or not the update, but the expansion. All it is just like a download, or like a little hotfix type of thingy. Like, or just an add-on. Like, that's dumb, because I remember back in the 360 days, you used to have to download a whole 3-4 gigabyte update, you know what I'm saying, for the game. Like, yeah, I'm not the update, but you used to have to go to the store and actually download the content from that mug. Like, I'm actually getting something from the game, not buying the key.
Halo maps.
Yeah, I gotta go. I'm downloading my map pack. I'm downloading the Stimulus Resurgence map pack, boy. Like, we finna play this mug. Not no. All right, I bought the license to this to Horizon or whatever. Now they finna let me play it. Like, all that type of stuff is. That's why I don't. Man, y'all know where I stand with these games, bro. I be like, nah, man, they already trying to finesse me, bro. I already see it, y'all got stuff in this game that's supposed to be in the game, but y'all just locked it off. Destiny prime example, bro. They was tearing people up with that. Destiny was going crazy with it, bro.
Hey man, they love to take something away and then give it back to you like it's no.
Man.
But that game been going on for so long. I understand that. I understand
Yeah, they ain't
where
exceptional.
they're like it's been like what 7 years? How long it's been? 6, 8.
September 2014.
Yeah, so it's been quite a while with that game. And I understand them removing things and bringing it back because that gives the community the ability to come back to the stuff they used to really enjoy that was have been taken out. But the whole fact of um,
Call of Duty.
yeah,
Game's been out for 1 year.
those types of games they shouldn't be. They really shouldn't be. They really shouldn't be in the same in that same field or whatever. It's kind of like, nah, y'all are not the type of games that can do that. Nor are you the guys type of games that can provide us a rehashed idea and think that's cool. It's not. It's not. So
I mean, y'all tired of rebuying what Kinder Toten?
Kinder Toten.
How many
Kino.
times they resell those zombie maps?
Man, they
Oh,
had
yeah.
I'm trying to think. How did they drop Kino? Kino, first off, was supposed to be put in World at War. That was cut from the game. Um, but I get that one a pass though. I get that one a pass because it was a different time period and stuff like that. Like if the game was put out, they couldn't update that much like that. So um, I get that a pass. But yeah, they dropped Kino a couple of times. I'm like Kino, we know.
And then there's it's just funny how that stuff kind of obviously we see it and we know it and we know it when we're getting got and I just feel like at some point these companies are going to realize that their consumers aren't as ignorant and blind as they want them to be and they're going to start and I think I really think Sony hates Microsoft right now because of all the stuff they're doing in regards to convenience and like the whole idea behind backwards compatibility is such an untapped market to get more people, but to provide the service for free. Sony don't want that. Sony doesn't want that, and I think they're really pressed about providing those PS4 games to continue to live on and the services and things like that on the new consoles. It's more work for them at no price, at no I guarantee you they want to charge for Bloodborne to be at 60 FPS. And if they do, it's the worst thing that they could possibly do. Obviously, that's a From Software game, but it's exclusive to Sony, so they can make some stuff happen. Just as if they were to charge for God of War, like they did with freaking Spider-Man. Everybody was like, "What? Are you insane? Why would y'all make us pay for something we already inherently have because the console can run it better? Why would you charge us for that?" And they still charged you for it, but it was such an outcry for that because on the other end, Microsoft was just giving it away for free. Um, and it's going to be, I think, it's going to be really, really, really interesting as time go forward. I think Microsoft is building all that stuff in this console. They're building all that stuff on top of what they already made. They're not leaving anything behind, and that's expensive. So we'll see, man. I just know what it is, and that's what kind of makes me nervous for Sony. I'm not saying that they're gonna lose, and please don't get it misconstrued. I'm just saying that there is a reason to be nervous in regards to moving forward with gaming in the expensive realm. Because if they were to go to do like what Nintendo do then they're fine. Nintendo carved their own path. They don't even try to keep up with people. They don't. It's no point. We got you jokers hooked. But what is Sony's biggest achievements? Making beautiful games with great stories. It costs to make to take great narratives. It costs to make games look great. And how do you minimize your budget when it comes to that? You cut corners. Where do you cut corners? Unfortunately, in the more unique aspects of their company, the more unique games, the more promising partnerships, and it just starts to dwindle. So I just don't want to see that happen, and that's something that impacts all of us. So it's not like it's just their thing. But moving forward to the next thing, let's talk about Elden Ring, which we didn't talk about yet. Elden Ring. We all saw the trailer, correct? You saw it, right, Jalen? Josh, you saw it too, right? Y'all saw it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First, did it give what it was supposed to give? The Elden Ring give what it was supposed to give? Or were you expecting something different?
What you got to say, J-Boy?
I don't know, man. I just felt like I played Dank Souls so much. I just kind of like it just looked like Dark Souls to me. I was just like, that's why. I mean, I didn't think it looked like terrible. Like I'm like, oh, like an adventure, but I'm just like, it ain't nothing they could have showed me. That's just like, if they saying this is like a Dark Souls like game, it ain't nothing you could show me in that game where I'm like, man, that junk looks mad hard, bro. Like I need to like really like play it. Like I'll probably be like, okay, I'll play it because it's like a Dark Souls game and I like the adventure, with it. But I'm not like, man, this game look dope, bro. Like, man, you seeing how they do it? Like it ain't nothing like cinematic in there that just made me like really want to like. And I was half asleep watching. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a Dark Souls game. Like it really is. It looks like the colors in the world looks like Dark Souls 2. For me, it was. I guess those games were never interesting looking. Like they all look very similar. It's just about the adventure and the mechanics, how that stuff is gonna work. And from what I've seen and heard about this game, it seems very interesting mechanic wise because it's open world and stuff like that. I mean, I've never. That's personally what I wanted because like I didn't like Sekiro. Like the combat is cool, but I didn't like any other direction they took with it. So just having that familiar Dark Souls style is personally what I wanted. So I mean, we'll see if it actually lives up to that. But I feel like they've always had at least a minimum consistent quality for me, and I feel like this is gonna meet it.
Gotcha. So it did give what it was supposed to give, right? In your
Yeah,
opinion.
but at the same time, like what Jalen said, it's not new. Like this is familiar. It's their style. It's not like they went off and they're making a completely different type of game. This is, what you expect from software.
But did they give what they supposed to give? If the game's supposed, is this game on PS5 or Xbox? Is it going to be $70?
It's cross-gen. Yeah.
So it's on PS4 and stuff too.
How much is the game going to cost?
I think it's $60.
I think
mean,
it's
I don't
60.
think it has a price yet, but I think it's $60.
I think it comes with a free PS5 upgrade. So if you buy it on the PS4 or Xbox, you could probably get the upgrade for free.
Okay. I mean, if it's going to be, what I'm saying, consistent with that, that's fine. If it's $70, it ain't give what it's supposed to give. But
right now,
that's $70 hard to justify.
$59, but
Yeah.
Okay.
So Elden Ring for me, it it did what it was supposed to, so it gave what it was supposed to give. In my opinion, I was looking for a game that was a little bit less gothic and more centered around Mordor and like I thought it was something. I thought it was going to be something like Lord of the Rings, but I guess not. It's kind of it's JJ it's George. Who was that guy's name? I thought he had more control over it, so I was thinking more of a on the path of like a. I was thinking more on the line of Game of Thrones or like that type of feel to it, and it just gave me more From Software. So that's fine because they can do more things with the creatures and like the bosses you fight. But I really wanted to see how they played within a well well told story, mystery, and providing great combat. It just seemed like now we're just getting more of what I expected. Them to pretend like it's something different, but it really ain't. It's kind of providing us another Dark Souls with a different lore. Now we're the Tarnish versus the what was we before the undead.
Unkindled.
Yeah, now we're just the Tarnished. So that provides zero like interesting things to come forward now. I know that it's not going to be really heavy story driven in a good way. It's going to be story driven in the way that they always do story, mystery, and very lacking in like it's gonna be a lot of read between the lines. It ain't gonna be a lot of confirmation and confirming. So I don't like that type of storytelling. I don't appreciate it, but that's what they do, and they kind of do it well, at least for people that likes that type of thing. I don't like it, so I don't find it to be a well situation. I find it to be just I find it to be what it is, and Elden Ring, in my opinion, at least has open world esque locations. You can ride a horse, which provides a little bit more exploration, ability, and movement. It seems as if they stated previously, like you'll be able to find, abilities and things around the world as if you would in Sekiro or if you would in Dark Souls, where you find weapons, kind of that similar point. But again, it's not going to provide great narrative, in my opinion. I haven't played it yet, of course. We don't know if it's going to be a great narrative or not. Maybe there's such a compelling story there that we really want to see, but it seemed like they just broke the ring up, and now you have to rekindle that versus the last thing you had to do in Dark Souls. So you had to go fight a bunch of bosses, get the souls, bring them back to the shrine. Now you got to go get the pieces for the Elden Ring, bring it back to the shrine. It doesn't seem like it's going to really deviate from the plan, which is fine because they have a winning formula. But me, on my end, I thought Elden Ring would be different. I thought it was going to be more in that fantasy realm of storytelling and have that compelling combat that we know to love from Soft. But it seems like it's going to be just more of the same, which is still fine because we're due for another From Software game as of now anyway.
And they just took the Tarnished, the Undead, or the Unkindled. The Rain's gonna be the War Vessels, War Souls. I mean, you're probably not gonna be able to get all your weapons to +10 at the start of the game. Like, this is gonna be. It's just Dark Souls 4, bro. It's the spiritual successor. That's what that mother's gonna be.
Yeah.
Nah, but that's the vibe. It was. I'm not saying what it is and what it ain't. But when I looked at it, that literally just gave me the vibe, and I'm like, "Why I need to see this gameplay?" Because it's the Tarnish is the undead, and they fight, and you got the gothic feel to it, and some Dark Souls with a horse, Dark Souls plus horse. Instead of the horses running you over this time, you can ride on it. Go ask the
Yeah.
executioner's chariot about it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, I mean, what can you do? It's it's what they're known for, and maybe to get the game to be finished, maybe they didn't want to dwell any, go out their comfort zone in that thing. But I feel like Sekiro was definitely a different path, and at least it felt like they tried to have a good story, or they tried to make the story more interesting and more grounded in like a normal sense of the realm of you can die and come back to life. But they tried to make it more, follow. They try to make it easier to follow. And I wouldn't expect them to not be able to do the same with Elden Ring and providing, you know, a great narrative provided by Mr. Martin. I don't think it would be an issue for them to kind of do that. But it doesn't seem like that's the way that they went. They just kind of like, listen, give me a title. Okay, you like Elden Ring? Okay, sure. We're gonna put you as a producer, and you just go, you leave, and like, and that was it. We're gonna make you narrate or what was they call story by. Yeah, now you go. That's
Storyboard.
it. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all you can do.
Yeah,
I feel
so
like their stories have always been a similar quality, except for I guess people would say Bloodborne, where it's more interesting, whatever, because it's sci-fi. But it's always been presentation because even if the story is interesting, you gotta read all about it. You gotta go to the wiki, or you gotta
Hmm.
read items, stuff like that, or replay the game to like get special dialogue to understand what's actually going on. Whereas Sekiro, it started out more straightforward. I mean, I
Hmm.
didn't finish all of it, but at least to where I got, it was the same thing where you have to like really dig deeply into to actually understand what's going on because it's not a story that's just straight up presented to you. So I
Right.
feel like yeah, like you said, this is gonna be the same deal. You know, you're gonna go through the game, you're gonna fight people, but maybe not really understand what's going on until you like do the research yourself. The only thing that George could do is, I guess, just make the lore more interesting or like consistent, so you don't
Hmm.
got to do as much reading. Like maybe when NPCs are talking, like it's a good conversation or they explain and stuff. But like, yeah, obviously, this is still the same people designing the world and designing the monsters and stuff. Like this is not George R. Martin designing a dude with 10 arms. It's
No.
you know, yeah, it's From Software designed that, and we just need you to give him a story that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I didn't want. I wanted them to collaborate on the design, the creativity behind the world, and like the artistic style. I want them to kind of work together to kind of make something interesting. But it seemed like just front software produced. You provided a narrative that we can try to instill into our vision, and that's what happened. Um, which is fine. Again, Elden Ring looks good, regardless of what I am saying here. It looks really, really good. It just looks like a From Software game. I was not
Yeah,
surprised when I saw the dash movements. I was not surprised when I saw the style of the buildings. I was not surprised to see that it was uh post apocalypse. It wasn't before. It wasn't like a buzzing city. It wasn't like that type of world because that's not what they do. So I wasn't surprised there. So not it gave what I wanted, what I thought it was going to give. Um, Even if I wanted a little bit different. I wanted it to be different. I expected this to be the case. I expected Elden Ring, Dark Souls 4.0, or you know, Dark Souls 3.1. Yeah, that's what it seems like. So it
Yeah,
still looks good though.
I say the game it gave me like a it was like it was like a it's like you wanted to see something else,
Hmm.
but you're not mad. You know
Yeah.
they could have innovated, but you like, all right, I'm gonna just take it for what it was. I was hoping I'd see more and stuff, but I'm not mad at what they showing. I'm a little. I ain't gonna say I ain't a little let down, but I
Hmm.
know that it would be solid. Like I can know what to expect. It's like that sense of familiarity is cool. Like all right, that's
Hmm.
straight. Like I know what I'm getting, but I know I could have got better though because I played this game. I feel like when I'm looking at, it, I played this game like a couple years ago and stuff like that. Um, I just wish they'd have did just a little bit more with the art or something like Deontay said, kind of give like a different atmosphere. Like I think they did a good job with Sekiro. Like oftentimes I'm like, even with the stories, I'm always like, this is a FromSoft game. I have to because the way I was exposed to FromSoft is how they give these cryptic stories. Like you need to look at the item descriptions and put 2 million together and try to figure out
Hmm.
how it's working and stuff like that. But Sekiro was like the gameplay, like the fluidity of the combat and stuff like that. I had to keep reminding myself this is a FromSoft game, and FromSoft is actually capable of doing other things and making Turtle and Dark Souls games like behind shields and slow delayed latency like in the combat. Like they can actually do different things, and they can make cutscenes and make stories more cohesive than what Dark Souls is. Like Sekiro's story was a lot more easier to follow and stuff like that. So I was like, this kind of straight. I mean, there's a little bit of like, weird stuff that happened and you try to put stuff together and you might have to refer to stuff online and stuff, but it wasn't nothing that was like real hidden or open ended things, which is it can be for better or worse
Well,
because it's open.
it's hard to understand those endings because the game got like 9 endings, right?
I think it's like four of them, but it's like some of the endings they're not. It's not you don't have to do a lot to get like the true ending and stuff like that. Like you can end the game by choosing a decision similar to like Persona midway through the game, and another one you can make a decision if you decide to give up or what I'm saying, stuff like that. But it ain't like no like true ending where you need to collect all this. It might be maybe like two endings or something like that, maybe. But I think basically what I'm getting at is I think they're capable of more. But from that trailer I seen, it seemed like they wanted to play it safe and go back to what they know. And just even if they wanted to play it safe and go back to what they know, I kind of wish they chose a different art style because I feel like that game resonates with Dark Souls 3 a lot. And I felt like Dark Souls 1 wasn't as gothic. I
Hmm.
feel like Dark Souls 2 was even less gothic. I feel like Dark Souls 3 was probably the most gothic because like the tone, the color and stuff like that, those washed out colors. And then this
Hmm.
game, I feel like they following that same trend. I just wish they kind of would have chose something little different, like you were saying, that setting of like mortar or something
But it
different.
looks
Whereas
it looks like Majula, like the orange sky and
Yeah.
stuff.
It got that skybox that's like that's bright. I'm just more so talking about the settings and the places that you're going to be in because at least they didn't go with a dark it's still gothic. Yeah, I get what we understand that, but it's still more so. At least the skyboxes are bright. At least they have that feeling of. I'm talking about that post op apocalypse type feel where it's like everything has already been deteriorated. People haven't been there for a long time because now you're the tarnish and you're coming back because this is a realm between realms and you're kind of working to get into that you're working to get back to that port. It's kind of dry. It's kind of the lore behind it is that you're being drawn to the Elden Ring and you're kind of fighting these people to bring back the. I'm not sure what you're bringing back necessarily, but you're fighting to kind of to kind of piece it all back together and get to that, and that's what you are and what you're trying to do. It's very it's gaze and mystery. That's all it is. It's like it's doused in it. You can't really do nothing about it, and I don't like the fact that that they didn't do anything different. It's kind of the similar setup. It has that type of feel to it. It's not like, again, you're not gonna go to no busy cities. You're not gonna be meeting a lot of NPCs. You're not gonna be fighting through crowds of people to get to your enemies. They From Software is really good at combat. I don't see why and I thought, the story was going to push the narrative to make it feel like you're on this really strong true adventure, and you are this great warrior. I thought that would be something like that. Just imagine that type of gameplay in like even a Breath of the Wild type of storyline, where you're impacting, or at least impacting the world when you're decision making, or you're doing things where you're changing your surroundings. Like, From Software is good at doing that, and then imagine having great stories and things like that. It's kind of like, why not do that? Why just settle for the norm? And that's where I was kind of confused by it, and I think that's where we're kind of coming from it, where it's just kind of like, you could have did more. You could have did
I
better.
agree that they can do better with presenting the story, especially like cutscenes and not having everything just be in like the item descriptions.
Hmm.
But I think that that's not if that's not what they're good at, they can still improve. They should still try to improve, but they shouldn't focus on it. They should focus on what they're good at. Because another thing that I didn't like about Sekiro is that you don't you don't get to choose your character. You don't get to choose the weapons you use, the how you look, the magic you use, or things like that. Like that story was better for them to tell because they didn't have any variation. You're playing as I don't even remember his name, but you're playing as the samurai, and you're going out into the world trying to save the boy. Like that's your setup for the story, and it's pretty straightforward. Whereas these games, it's not about the story because it's a RPG at the end of the day. Like you,
Oh, they wouldn't have tied him to it though, Josh. You have to think about, why would they tie George to this game if it wasn't going to be significant in any significant way? It wasn't
I
going to have a
mean, the
significant
story
meaning.
might still be interesting. It's just it's not about how to put it. You so everybody
Is it
praises
not about the
Bloodborne for the
journey,
story.
or are you saying it's not about the journey, or are you saying it's not about the storytelling and how the
It's
story
not
is
about the
presented?
cutscenes. It's about the
Yeah,
world. It's
yeah,
always
correct.
been about the world. The worlds. That's why people like it. They talk about Bloodborne because it's the lore and the world and the characters that exist in that world. It's never about the cutscenes. So even with this game, I'm saying that he's probably can help them construct an interesting world, and you understand how it works and why there's a giant white tree in the sky and stuff like that, and so it'll make sense. But it's never been about the cutscenes because the cutscenes are just you walk through the fog door, the boss jumps down, he says something to you, and you fight the boss. The boss can still be an interesting character, but it's all about giving you an opponent and a reason to keep going to fight the next opponent. It's not
But
about, oh, if you don't fight the boss, then, you can go to this city and help them get food and save the sick people. Like, it's never about that type of story. It's about your goal is to kill the final boss.
right, no, I get what you're saying. There is like, don't ask for something that you might not really like, and like those aspects of it, and is like not meant to for them to kind of bring into the storyline, which I agree with.
Like,
I don't.
yeah, they're not going to bring you a Last of Us 2 story and tell you it's bad for killing people in this type of game. Like, what's the
No,
point of this type of
not
game?
looking for that. I was more so talking about the whole idea of not having any innovation to how they even present the 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 world, because the world is just to be explored, right? And the idea behind this project was that the thinking was it behind it was at least that the world would tell the story in a better way. At least that's my thought. If you're going to bring in George and you're going to have someone that can create a world in a meaningful way, don't just provide me what you're already good at. I already know you're good at combat. I already know you're good at, you know, creating these creatures that are memorable and when you're fighting them. I know that. Why not focus on the things that you're not good at, that you don't that you don't have people already sold on, like the story driven elements that you again can tell in the open world space, but you're just providing more of the same. I granted it's just a trailer, so I can't say that that's how it's going to be. But when I watched the trailer, I got more of the same and not something new.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the extent of the collaboration either, but I feel like from their style of design, it's just he's there to give lore. You know, you're gonna fight the boss, and
But
this
they were
boss
good
has
at
a
lore in the
family.
beginning. They were already good at lore. I don't understand that project then. If because they were already good at it. They just nobody wanted to go read it. Like even if you went to go read it, you'll be like, okay, that makes sense. They were good at that. Like, what's the point of
No,
George?
to create a new world. Like Dark Souls 1 was interesting, but the other games, if you put all three games next to each other and actually try to map out a story and lore, it doesn't really make sense because it's not supposed to. Like Dark Souls 3, all they kept talking about was time is convoluted, just to say that that's why this person you killed is back so you can fight him again. Like the lore is interesting to a certain extent, but the story is not consistent. Like it's not truly a story. Like the Dark Souls games is not a trilogy. Like there's no through story. So if you actually get a
Hmm.
writer who can help you build a world, then
That's going to
maybe if they want to
continue
do
on
Elden
itself.
Ring 2 or whatever, they actually can have a story because like I was about to say, if the bosses are related to each other, they're a family and there are other bosses who are opposing them and you. Like George can tell a story where there's a lot of people in the separate quests and goals and make it make sense. So if he can build that world, you might actually care more about which bosses you fight or which bosses you don't fight. Like, it can still be interesting to have a good writer in the game, but it's mainly just to help them build a new world.
But it's told in the same way, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think they care about you're never gonna get a 3 minute long cutscene of somebody talking. Ever. Like
I wouldn't
this
want that. I'm just more so,
that's what George is good at, but that's not what they're going to do. So they're going to use him for something else.
yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And I think it's going to still sell extremely well. And I think people will really enjoy that said game. And I will more than likely be one of those individuals if obviously there was things that I always play those types of games. I always find something to kind of that drives me to continue to play it because I don't find it to be super interesting. So it is a little disheartening if the game doesn't do anything different. But at least they have a horse, and at least they have open world esque environments that you can travel through, and like they still already say that you can go and do. You don't have it's no linear path as usual, so you can go and do things in separate orders, and you could just go out and carve out a different journey for yourself. So that stuff there excites me regardless of whether or not the story or the world is compelling as I would want it to be. At least those things are promised. So as long as those things are promised, I think I can have a good time with the game, and I don't see myself not playing that game, especially when I feel like From Software makes some of the best combat. Uh, it's hard. It's they have the best combat, boss fight combat, at least in my opinion, where it comes to like engaging fights. that needs to be thought about before you just fight them. Is it punishing? Yes. I think Sekiro was a little bit more than others, but Dark Souls always has a way to kind of, overcome those things. So I think I'm going to enjoy that game. And it will be a day one pickup for me because Elden Ring just looks good.
Hopefully it's good. I mean, you still got a while. So.
Yeah, you do. January 2022, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, outside of that, I mean, that's pretty much it for me. I don't think I wanted to talk about nothing else outside of E3 just not being good. Did you watch all the conferences, Josh, or just not just some of the stuff that you saw?
I hopped in and out of some. I didn't watch all of them. I watched Microsoft all the way through and Ubisoft. Everybody else was pretty much trash, so I just tried to catch the highlights.
Yeah. So I didn't like Capcom. I didn't like Ubisoft's. I didn't like Square Enix. Only one I really liked was Microsoft at this point. So I mean, maybe we could talk about that once Nintendo and everything has come out, because we're shooting this midway through E3. So once those come out, we could probably have a review of all of the conferences and all the discussions there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Talked about a lot today. You can always find this podcast on any podcast station you find your podcast on, because I don't know all the stations or the platforms. You can definitely find it on YouTube at my channel, which is BCD Universe. It's always in the right hand corner of the screen as you're watching the video, and that's spelled BCD Universe. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Anything y'all want to say before we head up out of here?
I ain't got nothing.
He has nothing, guys.
Waiting on a new Mario game.
Obviously, man.
Man, what Mario guy?
This guy needs some new video games in his life. I don't know. Next one, they probably gonna be the next Mario game. I'm assuming
Mario 41.
It's gonna be the golf one, but the next Mario game. What's the last thing that came out? Mario Maker 2.
Odyssey. 3D World was last.
3D World. It's gonna be
Odyssey.
Odyssey.
Like they're gonna do another Odyssey 2.
It's gonna be Odyssey 2. Odyssey 2. If not Odyssey, is gonna be the nope. They just did that one, the Mario Land or the Super Mario World. They're probably gonna do Odyssey. If not Odyssey, no, it gotta be. That's the last thing that came out in 2017. It's Odyssey. Guaranteed. Odyssey is being announced tomorrow.
Maybe. I feel like they ain't gonna show nothing new. Maybe you see Splatoon, maybe you see Pokemon, but I'm be conservative in my expectation.
I would hope they at least show the new console, maybe. It's all but already confirmed that it's a new console coming. Why don't you just show it? That would make no sense not to show it.
Because they didn't show the original Switch until November. Like, they didn't show it at E3.
You're right. Yeah, but people why not try to capitalize on the holiday spending?
Because Nintendo gonna do what Nintendo do.
I guess you're right.
If it don't come out to the holidays, they might announce it September, October, because they announced it 3 months before it came out.
What about the Nintendo Switch Lite? How long did they get that before it came out?
I don't think that was a big announcement. It was probably like a month or two.
Okay. Well, we'll see. What do you? We can talk about it next time, because I want to know a lot of stuff about that Pro. But we'll cut it from here. It's already been over 2 hours. So we hit you up, guys, in the next 2 weeks. Thanks for watching as usual. And we will talk to you guys next time. Peace.